Hey everybody, good afternoon. We're here live, Lakeland Insights with Ryan Sackett.
How y'all doing?
And so guys, we're so excited to come to you today and talk to Ryan. Ryan, first of all, is he's one of our newest LBL premium members, and so we're really excited about that. And Ryan also recently just started a business, and today we're going to be talking about young entrepreneurship. And so not just about young in age, but also young in experience. I think there's a lot of people out there, a lot of business owners that, we're trying to make things happen, and everything is a process. Everything is a learning experience, and so growth, personal development, all those things. We're going to be talking about all of that today. But Ryan is only 22 years old. He has a great business here in South Lakeland. We're going to learn a little bit more about that, but we're going to get it fresh, guys. We're going to get it. Some information hot from someone who just got started and is going through some of that growth and everything. But Ryan, excited to meet with you today.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and how you got started and why you wanted to become an entrepreneur?
My name is Ryan Sackett. I'm the owner here at Sackett Motorsports, which is a pre-owned car, motorcycle, side-by-side dealer, everything power sports and anything with a motor, really. We also do repairs, sell parts. Right now it's just me. I handle everything. I have 2 mechanics. But I do everything from the sales to buy-in to the posting. We've been in business for about 3 months now. We're right off here off South Florida behind Sonny's. Pretty much, I started in working at a place called Sky Power Sports. I worked there for about a year and learned everything I could and was taking as much information as I can, trying to follow my passion, which has always been motors. I've always had a dirt bike or a fast car, something like that. I live and breathe everything with a fast motor in it, and just wanted to follow my passion. So I started working at Sky. Loved it from the get-go. Looked forward to work every single day, and loved what I did there. But then just wanted to go further and take the jump. So I was lucky enough to have 2 parents that are entrepreneurs. They own 3 great businesses: a construction business, real estate, and also a wedding venue called Sackett Ranch. Mm-hmm. And they've just watching them grow has been the most influential thing for me. Being able to know that I could do it if they could do it, because they started with nothing and built everything. So eventually I was talking my dad and my mom into going out and doing our own thing and creating this business. So we bought this building here for as cheap as we can get it, and went through and put a bunch of work into it, made it as nice as it is now to be as professional as possible, and kind of just went from there.
Awesome. So what would you say was probably, I know you said your parents were entrepreneurs, business owners.
Right.
What would you say was probably the driving factor in yourself growing up? Was it maybe seeing your parents and what they did, or was it some kind of other life instance, or what drove you to say, hey, I want to take the risk, because it is a risk, right? Yeah. I want to take the risk and really try to make something for myself and be my own boss and create something out of nothing.
Yeah, the biggest thing was my parents being entrepreneurs, because they were never afraid to take a risk, and really came down to just one day. Everything just, I think when we make huge leaps in our life, it comes down to one moment. Mm-hmm. And that moment for me it was August. I was digging a footer by hand with a shovel, and I thought, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I was looking at some of the guys that were 40 years old doing the same thing I was doing, and it's 100 degrees outside, the Florida heat. And I just thought, I don't want to do this anymore. What can I do? And I've always been good at sales. My parents and my grandparents, everybody's always told me I'm such a salesperson. Mm-hmm. And I've done sales all of my life outside of construction. I've done sales for my parents' businesses. I've done sales, even door-to-door sales I did. I sold windshields in high school. That was an experience learning from there. Yeah, to get my sales started. But yeah, it just came down to that one moment where I was like, enough is enough. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I got to figure something out. And that's when I told my dad I didn't want to work for him anymore. I wanted to go find something else, and that's when I got the job at Sky and went from there and just took that initial leap. Because at first, as a salesperson, I didn't make a whole lot of money at Sky at the very beginning because I was in training. They taught me a lot, didn't have any idea. I never had a professional sales job of that caliber before. So that initial leap of taking the risk, I was making good money working with my dad, even though I didn't like my job. I really hated what I did, honestly, because it just wasn't for me. And that initial leap, and then took that to the second stage at the end when I was doing really well at Sky. I was making great money at Sky. And then jumped into this, not making money again, just spending money to get this going. And now we've been in it for about 3 months, and it's really starting to come together and really starting to go.
That's awesome. That's really exciting. And so you mentioned something I think is really important that a lot of us, a lot of business owners have talked about on Lakeland Insights, which is passion. You got to follow your passion.
Yeah.
And so, how did you cultivate that? How did you, obviously you've always loved being around those types of things, but how did you say, hey, I love this, and I want to take this passion and turn it into a business?
I just thought about it the best I could. Like I said, I was already a good salesperson, so I thought I couldn't work on them because there wasn't really a whole lot of money in that, and I wasn't a skilled mechanic by any means. That's why I have two professional mechanics. So I knew I couldn't do that, and I knew that anything in the industry other than sales was out of the option. So I did the one thing I knew how, which was to sell, and that's when I started at Sky. And I got paid to stand around and talk about bikes like I usually would anyway on a Friday night or out with my friends or doing whatever. So it was just a dream come true, just like it is now. I look forward to work every single day. I love what I do. I love talking to people. I love seeing the excitement in somebody's face when they get their bike and they start riding to their car or whatever they're getting. That's something they really always wanted, and as passionate about it as I am, because I love to ride. It's everything that I want to do in life.
Yeah, awesome. And so, and just personally knowing and everything, I think you want to do what you love, but you're also looking for ownership and freedom.
Right.
That makes sense. And just something that you could do, again, if it's just standing around talking about, bikes and cars and all that stuff that you would typically do anyways, but it gives you freedom in the meantime.
Oh, yeah.
That's really important. So, so what would you say? Well, let's do this. Where do you want to go? Where do you want the business to be in the next 2 to 5 years?
In the next 2 to 5 years, definitely have people working for me, which would be salespeople, so I can stop doing the sales part. Get people that would be helping me find the product, because at this time that's probably the hardest part of my job is finding the product. Good, nice, clean product that could sell people at the right price, and then give people a good deal as well. Because I definitely don't want to rip anybody off. I don't charge any dealer fees. Almost everybody in my industry does. They'll charge at least $300 dealer fee. I don't do that. I give people the best possible price I can. So in the next 5 years, I'd like to see multiple salespeople, a different location that would be probably on I-4 or somewhere mainstream, because we're kind of off the beaten path, as you can tell now, which is just kind of the start. And to me, you don't own a business until you have people in place to do it for you. You own a job. Like right now, I pretty much just own a job. I have to be here or it's not making any money. So until you have people in place to do all those things to where you can sit back and then just grow your business, you don't really own a business, you own a job. So in 5 years, I look to own a business and not just a job.
Yeah. What would you say is the biggest factor from you going to basically self-employed, right, owning a job,
right,
to being a business owner?
The biggest factor would be to put a little bit of trust into people.
Okay.
And not want to have control of absolutely everything. And understand, you got to give people the opportunity to fail. If you don't, they're never going to learn, and they're never going to be able to do it. You're always going to have control of every situation, and it's going to drag you down and pretty much burn you out after a while.
Yeah.
So that would be it. Is definitely trust people and give them the opportunity to fail, so then they can learn from those failures and help your business grow as much as possible.
And I'm sure you do some personal development yourself, and we talk a lot about you have to grow into the person you want to become, and business owners aren't just created or born overnight. It takes a lot of work. So what do you do for personal development? How do you better yourself?
Read. I read as much as I possibly can. I listen to Audible. I have that. I do as much as I can as possible for marketing. Learn as much as I can about marketing and sales. People like Grant Cardone and Jordan Belfort, Tony Robbins, people like that have been in the industry for 30, 40 years, that have already made those mistakes and learned what works and learned what doesn't. So you can take a book that has 30 years of experience for somebody that packed into a 600-page book and read that in a week or 2 weeks or however long, and take in all that information. And that's what I'd say, just read as much as possible. And definitely get a mentor, somebody that you can talk to, somebody that's either in your industry or in an industry like yours that you can bounce ideas off of. Say what am I doing wrong, or what could I change here, and just look for as much as you can with that person. For me, I found that person pretty early in this. It was my buddy Randy, who was on the show before. He's not in the same business as me, but he has the same ideas of business ownership instead of just working in the business. So he's definitely helped me out a lot. It gave me a lot of books to read that could help me out a lot, which has totally changed my thought process on sales, on marketing. I thought I knew what I was a decent salesperson until I started reading Grant Cardone stuff and just put the stuff into play and realized how much of a huge difference it took. Just that one book I read from Grant Cardone or Jordan Belfort, just putting that stuff into play, how much of a difference it made on the sales. And that's a really big part of it is not just reading the material, putting the material to work for you.
That's good.
You can read all you want, but until you actually put the work to use, it's never going to do any good, and it's just knowledge that you're not using.
Yeah,
you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you as far as and that is so good because you hit the nail on the head. You have to put things into play. Knowledge. A lot of people say knowledge is power. I say knowledge without action is not power.
Right.
There's nothing that's going to come from that. So I think that's for 22 years old. I mean, whew, I wish I was where you are right now. What would you say some of the biggest challenges that you faced? Because you own a physical location, you have to buy, fairly expensive inventory.
Right.
You should transfer it across, to your location here. So from other states or other places, and so there's a lot of logistics to that.
Yes, for sure.
So what would you say were some of your biggest challenges getting started in this business, or
The biggest challenges were probably the stuff that I had never done before, that I was terrified to do, that I didn't think I could do. And I'm sure the people that I worked with at Sky that were like the finance manager and the business manager, stuff like that, didn't think I could do. And still to this day, sometimes some of the stuff I don't think I can do. But I go at it and I do the best that I can and learn as much as I can. But definitely in the very beginning, getting this thing built up, the hardest part was sitting down and learning all the information and stuff that I didn't understand and stuff that was really boring, stuff that I wasn't passionate about. I'm not passionate about learning about finance. I'm not really passionate about learning about title work. So that was the hardest part, is learning stuff that I didn't really care to learn, but I had to make this business successful. And then getting people to take me seriously from my young age. I mean, I'm only 22 years old. I look young. I'm definitely very young. So when I was dealing with people I'm buying units from, or when I was getting my dealer's license and was trying to get people to help me out at the DMV, or even some of the banks that I'm dealing with now that now have developed some communication, some trust there. But in the very beginning, you're a brand new business, you're 3 months old, or 2 months old, or you're 22 years old, and you've only had your dealer's license for a couple months. It's like, who are you?
Right.
So trying to get people to take me serious was definitely a hard part.
Yeah.
Was a big challenge. But I can say now, my biggest challenge now is just finding the inventory.
Yeah.
Because there's a million other dealers that have been in this business for 50, 60 years. Are trying to do the same thing I am every day, buying pre-owned inventory that's clean at a good price. And I've only been in it as far as buying for 3 months now.
Yeah.
I've been doing sales for quite some time, but as far as buying, I've been doing it for very long. So trying to compete with those guys at the auction and everything to get as much inventory as I can. So right now that's the hardest part. But I'm learning every day, and even tomorrow I'm going to Atlanta to pick up 11 units that I got for an awesome price.
Wow.
I just did my due diligence and found out what's selling, what's not, what I should buy and what I shouldn't. And in those 11 units, 3 of them are already pre-sold. So it's so I'm learning and doing better every day.
Awesome. And so I think that's the key right there. Is you're taking challenges, you're tackling them head on. You're not letting fear intimidate you, and uncertainty intimidate you. You're just going for it, and I think there's so much power and truth in that. And you talked about doing things that you didn't necessarily want to do.
Yeah.
And some of those can be out of, hey, maybe I'm not necessarily interested in that particular aspect. But I think there could be a lot of fear behind some of that. And so how do you battle that? How do you just fight that? How do you push through that and make it happen?
For me, battling that fear is looking at other people that have done well. Going back to the mentors, going back to people that are in my industry that have done really well, that started at a young age. So obviously they did it.
Right.
Just like the company I worked for before, the owner of that business started at a very young age, and obviously now he's got 4 stores and he's been in it for a long time. But at the very beginning, I'm sure he didn't know what he was doing, and he was fearful. So I look at people like that. And I look at my parents. My dad was never afraid to jump out and take any job that even though he's never done before head on, and I completely understand because he'd never done it before, but he just attacked it, did the best of his abilities, learned as much as he could about it, and never saw really any fear out of my dad. So that was a big factor there, was having somebody like him and somebody like my mom that was never fearful of jumping out and taking the risk. in doing so. So if you don't have that person in your life, I'd say look at the mentors and look at the people that have already done it, and really think, if they can do it, I can do it, because they're not special, they're not better than you, they're not any different than you. They just took the action, they went out there and they gave it their all and pushed fear aside. Because fear can definitely cripple you. If I was fearful of starting this business, I'd still be at that dealership right now, sitting there making just a percentage of the profits and not all of it. So fear would have crippled me, and I'd spent probably the rest of my life in that industry, because there's a lot of people that I worked with that are still there and have been there for 10, 15 years and probably will continue to work there for the rest of their life, never taking that next step because they're fearful of taking that risk. So fear is definitely a huge factor.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. There's so much truth in that. So, I mean, if you just to recap real quick, some of the things we talked about, you got to be passionate, follow things that, do the things that you want to do. Gary Vaynerchuk, one of the guys I love to follow, says, don't do anything you don't want to do, right? That doesn't necessarily apply to every aspect of your business. Sometimes you have to do that, but he means as a lifestyle, don't do things you don't want to do. Be passionate, be excited. Take fear head on, and don't let things that you can't control intimidate you. One of the things I always like to say is the only two things you can control is activity and attitude, right?
Right.
And so stay positive, stay focused, and there's a lot of successful people in the world that we can look at. And, like you were saying, you had a lot of mentors in your life, but there's a lot of successful people. It doesn't mean it's easy, it just means that it can happen. And if you put the work and consistency behind it, you can definitely make your goals and dreams come true. So what are you excited about right now in business and in this adventure that you're having? What are you most excited about?
Excited about growth, mostly.
Awesome.
Getting to the next step, getting as much inventory as I can, hiring that first salesperson that's trying to take over a little bit what I'm doing, or hiring that secretary and stuff like that, getting to the growth to where I could do that and take the next step. Because, just like in this scenario, I was telling you before we started, I was kind of fearful of doing this.
Yeah.
I've never been in front of a camera before talking about these kind of things, but you brought it to me. I said, let's set it up, let's do it. So take that next step. And that's what I'm excited to do is hit that next fearful thing, that next step head on, and go through with it and don't look back.
Awesome. That is that's so good, man. Because I think that's just relating back to like that excitement and what I said. You have to be excited about what you're doing. If you want to attract the right people and you want to really grow your business or grow a business, you have to be excited about what you're doing. I mean, that's if not, then people aren't gonna want to pay attention. What advice would you have for people who are maybe like want to start a business and maybe they're just not sure, or maybe they just started in business and they're like wondering what the next steps are? What's just some advice you would have for?
Obviously, I'm doing this. I'm still young, so I can't give out too much advice, but I would definitely say go to the mentors first. The people that I'm reading from now, I'm learning from.
Hey, that's a good piece of advice.
But one thing I can say is don't wait until you think it's perfect. There's never going to be a perfect time to do it. The time's never going to be right. The temperature's never going to be right. It's never going to be right. You're never going to be ready. So jump out and do it now, today, tomorrow. Tomorrow is not for sure, so do it today. And don't wait until your product or your idea is perfect, because it's never going to be perfect. Your business structure, your business development plan, or whatever you're looking to do in business, whatever product you came up with, if you're building something, if you're selling something, or what you're looking to do, it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be ready. So do it now. Because once you get started, I've had great people around me that are in the industry that I can call up, or that have looked out to me to say, hey, maybe you should change this, or maybe you should think about doing this instead of this. So I had the criticism that I could definitely take in and look at what I'm doing and make some changes along the way, because that's the only way you're going to grow, and that's the only way you're going to change. Is definitely accept that criticism. And obviously you're going to get people that are just haters, that are just, they're mad at you because you're out doing what they wish they could do, because they're stuck at their dead-end job. They're stuck at the desk, listening to the boss man, working for the man for the rest of their life. So you're going to have those people, and those people are just vampires. So you're going to have to avoid those people. I definitely have a lot of those people in my life. But I'd also have a lot of people in my life that are looking to help me grow and looking to help me out and give me some real advice and some real criticism that I could use.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. That point of you have to tune out the people that don't have your best interest at heart.
Right.
That's
Vampires.
really that's funny. You say
Well,
that.
that stuff you drive. Yeah.
Exactly. But that's really what I pull out of that. Is and that's such wisdom there. There's a lot of people that they really they want the best for you, but they for whatever reason, when you start doing those things, they whether it's jealousy or maybe fear, or maybe they really think that they don't want you to take a jump because they don't know if that's in your best interest. But you gotta surround yourself with good people.
Oh yeah.
You gotta have mentors. You gotta have, and I think when it comes to mentors, a lot of people wonder, what's a good mentor? So could you tell us a little bit about that? What would you say is a good mentor for? How did you pick your mentors?
Really, anybody that is where you would like to be. Don't take anybody that isn't where you want to be. If it's somebody that's still the same level you are or something like that, that's not the best person to go to advice. Somebody that's where you, but like my friend, Randy Vigiani, he's where I would like to be because he's a business owner. He doesn't have to be there. His business is really running itself because he's put in the right people, he's done the work.
Right.
So that's somebody that I can take his advice wholeheartedly and know that it's good advice. And then definitely reach out to people that are in your industry. Don't be afraid to email, call. I've called business owners, franchise dealers, and tried to talk to the owners and say who I am and what I'm doing and ask for the best advice I can. And a lot of them think I'm silly and just hang up the phone on me, and a lot of them take into consideration that I'm a young guy and they can see themselves in me doing the same thing they started doing, and they give me some great advice. So that's one way. And then books. I mean, you can't beat books of people that have been in it for years and that are packing 30 years worth of experience into that one book that, like I said, you can read in a week. So books is the best thing. I would say read at least 30 minutes a day if you can. Don't expect to take all the information out of one book. If you can get one good thing from one book, it's worth the $30 or $40 you spend on that book for sure. As long as you, like we said earlier, put that one good thing into play immediately. Don't say, oh yeah, I'm going to get to that. That's a good idea, and I'll eventually do that. Do it right now. Put it into play somewhere in your life immediately, because the only way you're going to learn is putting that stuff to use.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just, wow, that's so key. You have to surround yourself with people, like Ryan said, that, have your best interests at heart, but that, have what you want. Your mentor should be someone who can speak to you out of experience.
Yeah.
And can help you make the right decisions, and maybe not always necessarily the right decision, but help you make a decision.
Yeah.
If you're not sure what the right one is. And so, that's the best way to learn it is, have a group of people that, even if it's people that you're friends with, that you have a personal life with, everything else. I think what a lot of times we see in business is that as you start doing that personal development and elevating your thought process, your beliefs, you also see your spectrum of friends change.
Oh yeah.
And
Big time.
yeah, because if not, then you have those people. Not that they're purposely doing it, but they can hold you back because it's just a different goal. It's a different mindset.
Yeah.
And so that's just fantastic. Ryan, I mean, geez, man, you're 22 years old. Millennials. There's a few of us out there that are really good, that are gonna make a big difference. And I know Ryan and I've talked about some big ideas for Lakeland. Some things that we would like to implement, and kind of just have fun and do and bring more value and more fun to the community, and we're making it happen. So that's so exciting. It's
like you just said, you got to have fun. If you don't love what you do, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
You really got to love what you do, because if it's not something you're extremely passionate about, you're not going to put in those 12-hour, 15-hour days. You're not going to pick up the material and read it and really resonate with it. You've got to love what you do. So what I say to people all the time is, what's something that you would do and not even get paid for?
Right.
What is something you do no matter what, even if you had to have another job but you still did that on the side? It could be a hobby. It could be whatever. Do that. Go for that. Find somewhere in that industry. Maybe not be able to physically do it or whatever. Yeah. Find somewhere in that industry that you can be involved in it and stuff like that. And that's what I did. Is I found something in this industry that wrapped around motorsports and
Yeah.
fast cars and stuff like that. It's something I'm super passionate about. If that's why I had to leave construction. I wasn't passionate about construction. My father definitely is. They love seeing things get built and seeing what he has on paper come to fruition in front of them and build these amazing things. And he's super passionate when he can do it. I see it every day with what he does and how he's grown this business from starting out as a handyman. He had a little trailer with just a couple tools in it. It was Sackett's handyman work. If you can't hack it, call Sackett. That used to be our slogan. I used to think that was so cool. And he started from that, and now it's this huge business building, huge mansions and big commercial jobs and stuff like that because he was passionate about it.
Right.
It wasn't just to make the money and just to make it through. He was passionate about building things. So I put that into play with what I do every day. Yeah. If you're not passionate about it, it's not going to be for you.
Yeah, and here's one of the things that we're talking about as well. You can implement these things at any age. We're living longer than we used to. So just because you're in your 50s and 60s, that is not an excuse. Gary Vaynerchuk, he has a thing where he tells people, he goes, if you have a goal and dream, if you have something that you would be willing to do and not get paid for, but you think you can develop it into a business, he says you should fight for that possibility every day of your life and never give up on that, because that's who you are. That's what that's what your personality, that's what your passion is. And so you should fight to have that. And so, again, we talk about young entrepreneurship. It doesn't just mean age. It means, just maybe you don't have the experience. Maybe you've been working a job the past, 10, 20, 30 years, but you have a passion about something else. Maybe it's been a hobby. Maybe you can turn that into a business, or maybe you just want to do it. Take the jump.
Yeah.
With these days, with technology, Facebook, social media, all these things, you can totally reach more people much quicker and for less expense than has ever been available to us before. One thing I also want to touch on too, real quick, is that we talk about just do it, and Ryan mentioned, hey, doing that thing that you love, and finding a niche for it in that industry. Not always is what you're passionate about going to be already a business, right? So you may have to get a little creative. You may have to say, hey, maybe I love doing this. How could it be a business? And so don't be afraid to think outside the box and do things differently. We usually, most business owners are usually out there a little bit, but that's awesome because that's what leads to their genuine interests and genuine business models and what they personally like and everything. So,
and just to touch on what you said about social media, that is a huge factor in my business and everything. And one example is my mom's and dad's business, Sackett Ranch. It's started as just a wedding barn. Didn't have a whole lot of people come to it. They virtually spent no money on advertisement. I mean, we did First Friday in Bartow a couple times and stuff like that. Social media built that business to now where it's booked out 2 months or for 2 years. For people, and it's all Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, just shares and likes and all that stuff. It makes a huge difference, and you got to take advantage of that stuff. We're in a time with the technology and Facebook and all these different things and Twitter that's coming up. You don't have to have a ton of money to build a business. You can just pound Instagram, pound Facebook as much as you possibly can. Post and post and post. Just like I know you do. I say you're just like Grant Cardone because you really put that 10X rule to play. You're always posting, always using it because it's free. So why not? And you don't have to have all the money in the world to buy a billboard, to have a radio talk show, or to have something on TV or anything like that. Those days are done. We have the internet. People are on their phones constantly. You know that. I know that.
Yep.
People put a lot of time on their phones, and you can show up on their phones for free just because your friends will share it. Because you can write a blog or do a video about something cool that's about your business that people are going to want to read regardless. That maybe they don't even buy something from you, but that puts that idea in their mind that you're in that industry. So yeah, social media is a huge thing, and that's what grew Sackett Ranch to what it is today. And that was an amazing thing to watch.
Yeah, and it's not just about putting a business ad out there, right? I think a lot of businesses make the mistake of doing that. You have to bring value. So, I know for a lot of my business posts, I have a private group where I invite people to and say, hey, if you want something that, is strictly just, it's going to feed you information. And again, it's not like, hey, let me sell you this, let me sell you that. It's strictly just beneficial information that people should know. And so I have a group for that. Snapchat, I'm always posting like funny, relatable, snaps of, sometimes they're money related, but they're really goofy. Facebook, a lot of motivational and uplifting, positive things. And so it's about bringing value to people. But you can use social media nowadays to do that, and it's just it's so powerful. It's so awesome. And so if you're not utilizing that, dive in, learn how to use those platforms. Get a mentor of someone who, if you don't know how to use those, that can teach you how to do that. And absolutely. Well, Ryan, this has been just fabulous, man. You're so wise beyond your years. I can definitely tell you're gonna have an amazingly successful business. A lot of support, and from your family and the community, and just a lot of wisdom. So, tell us real quick how, if people want to reach out to you, if they want to contact with you, how give us your address and give us your phone number. Tell us how we can reach you.
The best way to reach me is go to our website, www.sackettmotorsports.com. You can view all of our inventory. You can give me a call at 863-397-5662. That's directly my cell phone. That's my business phone. Text me, call me whenever you want. If you need any work done. Like I said, I have 2 certified mechanics that cover everything from cars and trucks to motorcycles, power sports, side-by-sides, anything in that nature. Any parts that you would need. And then hit me up on Facebook. Like my page. That helps a lot. I appreciate everybody that's liked my page so far. It's grown, helped me grow my business, and the more people that can like my page and share my page, the more I can grow. So I'd really appreciate that. If you can go to Sackett Motorsports at Facebook and like my page, I'd really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ryan. Guys, that's going to be all that we have for you today. Next week, we're actually meeting with Steve Black. If you're an LBL Premium member, he's spoken at a couple of our meetings. So really excited for that. Make sure you tune in. I'll definitely make sure I announce that so you guys are aware. But we hope you have a great day. And till next week.
Thank you.